The Pokemon Company has taken the world by storm by releasing its first ever Pokemon mobile game, Pokemon Shuffle Mobile. Yeah, no, I'm just kidding, it's Pokemon Go. From the second Pokemon Go was announced, its massive amount of views strongly indicated that the game would be a success. But honestly, I did not expect the game to be this much of a success. I mean, sure, the idea of finding Pokemon in the real world using the combination of AR tech with your phone's GPS seemed like a brilliant concept, but the way it would be executed seemed like a tough climb. Furthermore, I always felt that Pokemon hit its cultural peak in the 90s, and afterwards the series had been going strong with its die-hard community rather than it being a phenomenon. Once again, Pokemon Go proved me wrong about this. My friends, who have not played a game since they were young, are obsessed with it. My mother told me she had interest in it, and a random science expo I visited started talking about it. This game is everywhere, and never before have I seen Pokemon be this big in a very long time. So while it has proved to be a success, the question now remains, is it any good? Well, that answer is yes. And no. I'm just going to get its current biggest problems out of the way. The game is very buggy. The GPS does not work half the time, the UI can be unresponsive, and the game can crash quite a lot. However, the key word to this is its current biggest problems. These flaws are really just teething problems, and I am sure by next month the game will run a lot smoother. In fact, when I first started the game, the servers were constantly down, but a week later I do not have a struggle to get on and play anymore. Pokemon Go has other problems, but these are mostly at its core, such as its rather simplified version of battling. Instead of it being a turn-based RPG with 4 attacks, you really just tap your Pokemon repetitively until you either win or lose, or by holding down in order to use a more powerful attack. This is a very basic adaptation of Pokemon's combat, but it may not really be such a bad thing. What I'm saying is this is a mobile game. It is not meant to be played for gamers. It is supposed to be a casual, fun, and relaxing experience rather than something that provokes you to think. Therefore, this flaw Pokemon Go has is not really much of one. It is honestly up to your subjective opinion on whether this combat system is good or not. If you expect the game to be similar to the main series RPG in that regard, you will likely be disappointed. But if you go into it with a different perspective, it will really be enjoyable. So let's break down what makes this game tick, shall we? The main point of the game is to walk around your town, catching Pokemon along the way. While it may be exciting to find a rare Tauros or a powerful Rhydon, a good 70 to 75% of your encounters will be Pidgeys and Rattatas. But this is actually better because the way you make your Pokemon more powerful is by catching multiple of them. So while you may be excited to catch a Haunter or a Primeape, it is really your Pidgeot or Raticate that will likely be your best Pokemon. Just like the games, the way you catch a Pokemon is through Pokeballs, which is probably the most important thing about Go. Pokeballs can come in very limited supply, as the only way to restock is by either visiting Pokestops, which are random landmarks around your area, or by leveling up your trainer, which we will get to in a second. There is also a third way of getting Pokeballs by buying them from an in-game shop. But this is where Go's free-to-play model comes in. You see, the currency for buying these items is from Pokecoins, and just take a guess on the best way to obtain these coins. Yeah, I honestly don't find this that much of a problem, as it makes visiting Pokestops as important of a mission to the game as finding Pokemon. Oftentimes now, when I go for walks, I set my path to where all the Pokestops are, as I depend on them in order to play this game. Moreover, it makes leveling up all the more rewarding. Which segues me to my next topic. The main objective of Go is to level up your trainer as high as you can, which is done by gaining experience. You can gain experience by pretty much doing anything in the game, such as Pokestops, catching Pokemon, and various other methods. By gaining levels, you get better and better rewards whenever you level up, such as better Pokeballs and more useful items. But the most important thing about this is when you reach level 5. And this is where the game truly begins. When you reach level 5, you can join a certain faction. There's either the red team, Team Valor, the blue team, Team Mystic, or the yellow team, Team Instinct. And remember, Team Valor is supreme and Team Mystic is scum! But that's okay if you're part of Team Instinct. No one's part of them, so I appreciate the underdog. Throughout the world, there are Pokemon gyms scattered around, which is held by one of the 3 colors. Your objective is to make your team hold as many gyms as possible. You can do this by challenging gyms that are not on your team, and your goal is to decrease their prestige points by beating them over and over. When you get their points to 0, the gym is yours, and you will receive rewards for having claim over that gym. You can also have other people hold their gyms by letting your Pokemon stay there, which will cause you to lose access to your Pokemon, but will help the gym be defended better from the opposing team. Lastly, you can train your Pokemon against gyms that are claimed by the same team as you. Well, that pretty much covers everything, so time for my final thoughts. So here's the thing about Pokemon Go. While this game is a lot simpler than the main series games, it works as its own entity in order to make Pokemon the phenomenon that it once was. It does sacrifice a bit of its integrity for a more mainstream appeal, but by looking at it as its own separate thing, it is actually a really solid game. There are a lot of cool mechanics that keep you hooked, and most importantly, it does its job by motivating you to go outside and exercise. My main concern is that this game will get old fast. The idea of finding Pokemon in the real world is fascinating, but surely its charm will wear off soon. And what does that leave us? A really basic GPS and Pokédex app with no real meat to it. However, I still find the game to be very enjoyable, as it makes walking around an even more exciting experience. These flaws that I just mentioned are really based off a hypothetical scenario if the game gets old, but right now the experience still feels new and fresh. If I had to sum up Pokemon Go's accomplishments, it would be something like, we did it! We now have Pokemon in the real world! Now what? But who really cares about the now what when this idea is still exciting, which is why I am giving Pokemon Go a B. So thanks for watching, and if you want to see more reviews, give this video a thumbs up or leave a comment below, as this channel itself is still teething and I am trying to gauge what exactly to do with it, so the feedback really means a lot. You can also click one of these boxes, the eye in the top right corner, or the description below to see some of the other stuff I do, and of course, don't forget to subscribe. Later.